Once upon a time in a city not too far away, there were two brothers who decided to start a small tech business. They were very different. The older brother was more naive and friendly, always trusting everyone he met and trying to build a friendship with them. The younger brother was more calculating and skeptical, always seeing through people's facades and taking mental notes of everything they said and did. But despite their differences, they shared a strong bond and worked together seamlessly in their business. One day, an angel investor approached them offering to invest $5 million into their business in exchange for a stake in the company. The older brother was ecstatic and immediately agreed, thinking that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The younger brother was more cautious but admitted that the deal made sense and accepted it. With the new investment, their business started to grow rapidly. The older brother, now being more visible in the media and among other tech entrepreneurs, started making a lot of friends and connections. He believed that these friendships were genuine and would last a lifetime. Meanwhile, the younger brother continued to work hard, but he kept his distance from the social circles of the older brother, focusing instead on building relationships with key employees and customers. Years went by, and the investor became increasingly concerned about the direction of the company. He felt that the older brother was more interested in socializing than working, and that he was losing focus. One day, the investor called the older brother and told him that if he did unsee a significant improvement in the company's performance, he would be forced to sell his stake at a loss. This news came as a shock to the older brother, but he promised his investor that things would change. He started working harder, and the company's performance did improve. But just as he was starting to get back on track, the investor approached him again, this time offering to buy back his stake at a higher price than he originally paid. The older brother, desperate to make the investor happy and keep his friendship, agreed to the deal. All this time, the younger brother had been observing everything that was happening. He had noticed the subtle ways in which the investor was manipulating his older brother and draining the company's resources. He also knew that his brother was feeling the pressure and becoming desperate. When the investor approached the older brother with the offer to buy back his stake, the younger brother confronted him and made it clear that he knew about all the underhanded tactics he had been using. The investor, taken aback by the younger brother's accusations, tried to downplay them, but the younger brother wasn't having it. He informed the investor that he had been in talks with several venture capitalists and that they were interested in investing in the company. The younger brother then made a deal with the investor, offering to sell him a portion of his own stake in the company in exchange for the investor's support in blocking the sale of the older brother's stake. The investor, realizing that he couldn't take advantage of the younger brother like he had with the older one, reluctantly agreed to the deal. At this point, the older brother found out about the deal between the two brothers and the investor and was furious. He felt betrayed by both of them and thought that they had been conspiring against him. The younger brother tried to explain his actions, but the older brother wouldn't listen and stormed off. Over the next few weeks, the investor began to regret his decision. He realized that he had made a huge mistake by underestimating the younger brother, and that he was the one who had been playing them all along. As the younger brother had predicted, the venture capitalists came in with better offers than the investor could have ever matched, and the company restructured with the younger brother at the helm. As for the older brother, he was left with nothing but his pride and his broken friendship. He watched as the company he had co-founded was being rebuilt and took solace in the fact that he had done nothing wrong. However, deep down he knew that he had made a mistake by trusting everyone around him. Meanwhile, the younger brother got to work. He brought in new investors, restructured the company, and set it on a path towards success. He was ruthless and efficient, but he never forgot the lessons he had learned from his past mistakes. He knew that blind trust could be expensive, and that sometimes you had to make tough decisions in order to survive. News of the company's turnaround spread quickly, and soon the younger brother was being contacted by other companies looking for his expertise. He became known as the Turnaround King, and his reputation grew. As the years passed, the older brother started to fade from the public eye. He tried to start other businesses, but none of them were as successful as the one he had co-founded. He spent his days reminiscing about the good old days and wondering what could have been. On the other hand, the younger brother continued to build his empire. He became a billionaire, and his name was synonymous with success. He was respected and feared in equal measure, and he never forgot the importance of being cautious. One day, the older brother stumbled across an article about his younger brother's latest business move. It was a brilliant move that had the potential to make billions of dollars. The older brother knew that his brother had once again outmaneuvered everyone, and he could unhelp but feel a sense of pride. He reached out to an old friend, someone who still worked at the company, and asked him how the younger brother was doing. The friend told him that the younger brother was as driven as ever, and that he was still the same calculating person he had always been. The older brother smiled as he read the article. He realized that he hadn't just been betrayed by his brother, he'd been outplayed by a master strategist. And in the game of business, only one thing mattered. In the end, it wasn't who was kind, it was who survived. From that day on, the older brother started to change his mindset. He realized that he had been naive and that he had paid the price for it. But he also knew that it was too late to change the past. He decided to focus on the present and the future and to learn from his mistakes. He started reading books on business and investing, and he attended seminars and conferences. He wanted to become better, not for the sake of winning against his younger brother, but for himself. He knew that he had a lot of catching up to do and that it would be a long and hard journey. But he was determined to succeed because he didn't want to live his life as a loser. Meanwhile, the younger brother continued to dominate the business world. His company grew to become a multi-billion-dollar empire, and he became a household name. He was known for his brilliant business moves and his ruthless efficiency. But despite all his success, he never forgot the lessons he had learned from his past mistakes. He knew that blind trust was expensive, and that sometimes you had to make tough decisions in order to survive. One day, the younger brother read an article about his older brother's new business venture. It was a risky move that could either make him a fortune or leave him penniless. The younger brother knew that his brother was desperate, and that he was willing to take any risk to make a comeback. The younger brother was torn. On one hand, he didn't want to help his brother because he knew that he was a threat. On the other hand, he couldn't bear the thought of his brother going bankrupt and ending up on the streets. After days of deliberation, the younger brother decided to make a move. He called his brother and offered to invest in his new business. The older brother was shocked. Couldn't believe that his brother was offering him a lifeline after all the pain he had caused him. However, he knew that he needed the money, and he accepted the offer. The younger brother invested $10 million into his brother's new business and watched as it took off. As the business grew, the older brother became more and more grateful to his brother. He realized that he had been wrong all along and that his brother wasn't a traitor. He was a survivor. The older brother started to change his ways. He became more calculating and less trusting, but he never forgot the kindness his brother had shown him. In the end, the story of the two brothers is a cautionary tale about the dangers of blind trust. It's a reminder that in a world ruled by power, only the strong survive.